Hello, I'm Marilyn Hemingway, and welcome to A Gathering Place. I said, I'm stepping back because we have young voices who want to be heard and they're moving on something.
Branding is really important to you and your business.
Even a basic type of technology, you learn it all.
And people are
Good question. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to A Gathering Place, sponsored by the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce and hosted by me, Marilyn Hemingway, CEO and founder of the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce. And today's topic is really Samuel Bellamy, youth development counselor, author, and motivational speaker. And I follow him on Facebook, and every day he posts something worth reading and worth you just taking up and moving forward in your day, and just hopefully it makes it a little bit better. So I said, hey, let me bring him on so he could talk about his books, but also talk about his services he provides in youth development. And if you have an opportunity, please purchase his books and support our community authors. So let's bring on our special guest, Samuel Bellamy. Sam, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good. You know, I always find it funny because I introduce everybody on the show like I haven't seen you in like an hour or two when we just spoke like 2 minutes ago.
It's all good.
It's like, yeah, we didn't see each other. Then we talked like 2 days ago. But
yeah, gotta have the continuity for the show.
I know. But thank you for joining us today, the eve before Christmas Eve, and this is my last live show for the year. I'm going to probably run some music or something on this coming Sunday show, just so we can all enjoy the holiday break. But thank you for joining us and spending some time with us today. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad I'm able to end the year with the bang.
Thank you. So very good. So let's take a couple minutes, and why don't you tell us about yourself? We've known each other a few years, way back when I worked for Federal Healthcare Network, and with their marketing and community outreach, and then I started the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce, and we've kept up with each other. But take a couple minutes and tell us what you want us to know about you. Then we'll do a deep dive into youth development and just your motivational postings that you put on Facebook. So tell us about Samuel Bellamy.
So, I'm a really regular guy, right? I'm father, brother, uncle, dad, husband, all of these things. But it's funny when we look at the time that we first met to now, and how we, careers have kind of gone in separate directions, but then they've blossomed, and then they've found a way to reconnect. I think that's amazing. It just shows that the life cycle of relationships. But so my 9 to 5, I am a non-clinical case manager with a Medicaid dual eligible program here in South Carolina, where we pretty much try to fill the gaps for seniors. And that's the role that I was in whenever we met, just looking at resources in the community to see what we could do to help some of our senior individuals in the community stay in their home, help them hurdle those social determinant barriers to make sure that they have a better quality of life. So that's kind of how we met, and that's my 9 to 5. Then I say my 5 to 9, the thing that I'm working on transitioning from to hopefully, move into other spaces is I am a youth development consultant. I'm a TA provider for a organization, Mentor, the National Partnership, which is like a national and federally funded organization that's designed to close the mentoring gap across the country. They have been working in this space for, close to 10, 15 years. So I'm honored to be a part of their team of professionals that help individuals who want to start or maintain youth development programs, and helping them be better, like help them increase their impact, help them increase their reach, help them change the lives of young people across the country. And I'm honored to be able to be that representative for that organization here in South Carolina. And I've been doing that for the better part of 10 years. Yeah, 10 years now. I've been in that youth development space. So I'm excited to be here. That's really my goal. That's the thing that wakes me up in the morning and gets me excited.
So 2 questions. One, what is the connection between helping our seniors and helping our youth? Or have you ever even thought about it that way? Is there a connection?
In South Carolina, it's a very, very, very close connection. When I first started this work, and the thing that got me into youth development is I was doing this work that I'm doing now with seniors. I was doing it with younger people on the Medicaid side. And one of the big barriers that a lot of those individuals had that was preventing them from being able to fully focus on their health was needing to do something with their children. So whether it was connecting them with community resources, with after-school programs or tutoring services or whatever it is, they needed help. So I started looking for organizations that I could refer them to be able to help them out with their young people. And what I realized is that there were a lot of organizations out here, but all of them weren't necessarily on the up and up. All of them weren't as impactful as their website said. I just didn't trust a lot of those organizations. So I started volunteering with some, just learning the ins and outs of what they did, how they worked, and just getting, that was like my introduction into the nonprofit world, is through volunteering for a bunch of these organizations. And then I transitioned to the Medicare side. And, you asked about the connection, and the connection is that a lot of those young people that I was working with on the Medicaid side, they send their kids to the grandparents. So when I'm working with these seniors, I realize that they also need those same services. Like, they're also looking for additional help with their grandchildren, whether it's, again, tutoring services, after school programs, just social outlets. They're also looking for that same thing. And the reality is they don't have the same energy as the younger counterparts do. But they're still feeling a need. They're doing what they have to do for their families while also trying to do what they have to do for themselves. So there is that close connection, because a lot of times you'll see the same kids go from, daughter or son to grandma or grandfather. So that's that close connection.
All right, very good. One of the things, the next question, how did this lead you to writing your books? And I know you wrote a children's book. Am I correct? Hidden Gems.
I did. I wrote a children's book called Hidden Gems. And honestly, that was a book dedicated mainly to my family. I'm an avid book reader. And what I realized is that books will be around for forever. That ISBN number, as long as you have that number, you can pull up any book that's ever been written that's listed in the Library of Congress, and you can get a fresh copy printed. So my initial thought was, when I'm gone, what will my children be able to remember me by? So me and my wife, we created that book that's filled with witty anecdotes for life that we use with them pretty much every day. And we put it in a book. And we used our likeness so that they can always see themselves. We just created it. And originally it wasn't even meant to be sold. Like, it was really one of those kind of personal projects that was near and dear to our heart. But other people started seeing them, and they started asking where they can get a copy. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm onto something. And I started making it available. It eventually ended up being put in the Children's Museum downtown.
Wow.
They put a lot of copies for the center, and it was being sold in the Children's Museum downtown. So it was surprising, but again, it's one of those things where you have an idea, and to be able to have the resources and the wherewithal to actually follow through with an idea and see it brought to life. It's really inspiring, and that's kind of what started the journey for the second book. I realized that not only did kids need this inspiration, but the adults that work with the kids did as well. So I started posting messages. And honestly, if I'm being completely honest, they were really for myself. As I journeyed along this nonprofit path and working with these youth development organizations, like I was using these messages to encourage myself. And I was putting them on Facebook because Facebook has the memory feature. So I thought to myself, if I'm having a rough day, I can post this message to remind me about the day that I'm having. And then next year, when I've hurdled this challenge, I can look back and say, I remember this day. And I've been doing it now every day for the past 3 years. So every single morning in the 6 o'clock hour, I post this message. Sometimes it's my own words. Sometimes it's other words that I find inspirational that help me through a situation I'm going through right then. But it's always in the 6 o'clock hour. It's always a message. And a lot of people resonate with it. And that's what prompted me to write this book. I mean, there were just so many people that were looking forward to the message. If there were ever a time where I posted outside of that 6 o'clock hour, I would get text messages or inbox messages and say, "Hey, are you okay? Like, what happened?" And that's when I realized, like, oh, I actually have an audience. I have a following. And so many people were hitting me up and were just like, "Hey, you should make this a book. You should do this and you should do that." And I just followed through with it. And that's kind of how we got here now.
I just put one of your postings up that I saw, and I put it up because it was short. But at this very time, I do look forward to your postings because they're inspirational, motivational to me also, and they just touch something in me. I think the reason it does is because I am at a certain point in my life, and you alluded to it a little bit in mentioning when we first met, we were in different places, and not necessarily bad places, but we were just in different places. And so I don't want people to think it was like a bad, they were both like very, very just tired of their jobs. It wasn't that. We were just in different places. And I made a move that I had to internally grow and heal. And that's a continuous journey. It's nothing, you don't go and like I went to therapy, but you don't go to therapy to get healed. You get therapy to work on the problem, to work on yourself, to improve yourself, or to heal something, but there's always something to heal. And
absolutely.
So I relate to a lot of motivational thoughts and postings that just help me along my journey. Do you find that is possible, how you've picked up a following, that there are a lot of people out here who are in a certain point on their personal journey and they're relating to what you're posting?
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned it, that it's hard work. And I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves, it is hard work becoming a better person, becoming a better individual. It's hard work, putting away bad habits or habits that haven't served you well. So when you're trying to go in an opposite direction and you realize like, oh, I have this thing in me that I need to, I don't want to say fix, but I need to change if I want to have a different result. So it's hard. It's hard having that look in the mirror and saying, oh, well, the way that you think about yourself and how you talk to yourself is really hindering you. Change the way you talk about yourself, change the way you talk to yourself. It's those type of things, those type of hard conversations that you have to have that makes growing and being a better person so difficult. So I use the hashtag Let's Work on every one of those posts. And the Let's Work part is really this. It's the active work of becoming better. Whatever your version of better is, that's really what we're looking for. Because as long as you allow other people to define success for you, like you'll never reach it. So you have to you have to realize in your mind what your version of success is and then work towards that. And I realize that everybody is on their own individual journey with that. So I think the reason why people resonate so much with those posts is because, they're not like canned speeches. They're not, oh, the sun will shine and the sun will rise, so will you. Like it's not, it's not those things. It's really things that makes you think. They're really things that I think everyday people go through, and they're just relatable. And I've been told that on many occasions that's what makes it different than maybe other motivational speeches or any of those things. It's just that they're real, they're relatable, and it's really digestible. So I think that's what's cultivated that following.
I think for me, I there and I may take a hit for this, but I'll say it. Um, there's so many people out there who want to be coaches,
Yeah,
and it's kind of like your thing with and volunteering with these youth organizations and seeing, are they really legit? Are they really, do they really have the capacity to do what they claim they're going to do? And then there's so many people who want to be coaches out here, and I see it a lot because of the spaces I'm in, that I wonder, are they really a coach, or do they just want to make money from,
sure.
you know, I don't know why you're coaching people. Do you really have that experience? Can you really show me a
True.
resume that says I helped 500 people achieve their goals? Or, you know, and then to have someone like you, who I feel, and I don't know because I'm not at your house, that you're sitting there kind of like drinking some coffee and something hits you and you just post it, or you see something and you're like, hey, this is cool, let me just share it and post it.
Yeah.
And to me, you use the right word. To me, that's much more relatable, because even though I don't drink coffee, I get up in the morning, I'm doing my morning routine. You know, I'm fixing my cereal or my oatmeal, and to start off the day with just kind of like this quick posting or meme
Yeah,
that you're like,
absolutely.
okay, that kind of, okay, I can, you know, that's, I can relate to that. That's cool. And you just keep on going. And but on the flip side of that is, I think a lot of people, we see these coaches, and then for me the question becomes, but who are you coaching and what is your success? I don't think you
True.
claim that at all. I don't think you claim that
I,
at all. I think you just are like, you know,
yeah,
this is my journey. This is what I feel I can share, and you share it. And that's, I think, the way social media is kind of intended. And before
absolutely.
you kind of answer that, let me remind everyone that you are watching A Gathering Place, hosted by the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce. And thank you for joining us today. And we have our special guest on, Samuel Bellamy, author of
Hey,
Hidden Gems, and just me, myself, and I. All right. So
that's
what are
it.
your thoughts? I mean, just what are your thoughts regarding that? Unless you've already
Yeah.
answered it.
So I think I think you do have a point. I do think there are a lot of people out here who wake up and they want to be, motivational speakers and coaches and consultants and all of these things, because in the social media age, we're just in this digital time period where you can be anything that you want to be, and you see other people across the world doing different things, and you desire to either have that lifestyle, or you desire to do the work that they're doing. So it's easy for you to just create an image. But the difference between those who create an image and the ones that are actually successful in it are the ones that actually, they live those experiences. So it's hard to be a coach if you've never paid for coaching. It's hard to be, a motivational speaker if you've never found anybody else, motivational. Like it's all of these things. Like you kind of have to experience it before you can be it. So I do think that that's the difference between maybe, person A and person B. And for that matter, I've never tried to be a motivational speaker or any of those things. If you find me motivating, I think that's a blessing, that you would do that. But that's something that I've never claimed. I am, however, a really, really transparent person. And if there's anything in my life that you see that you've either gone through or that you're, experiencing, and you think that I could help you, by all means, ask your questions, and I'll provide whatever feedback or whatever, response to that to the best of my ability. But to be, to be standing on a stage and just, talking and saying all of these different things, that's never really been a dream of mine. So I'm just happy that people resonate with my life, or anything that I'm saying, or anything that I've said in the past, or anything that I do on a daily basis. I find that very humbling, and that's good enough for me.
Very good, very good. Look, and I for one am just appreciative that you give us a glimpse into your life and your family life. You are transparent and sharing certain things. And I want to encourage everyone. I think the books are sold out right now, but I want y'all to go to Just Me,
Right.
Myself, and I, Google it, and, look for it in the future when it becomes
Absolutely.
available again, because we certainly want to continue supporting Samuel Bellamy and our Black authors. So, Samuel, you are transparent. So, one of the questions I have is, what about those dinners you and your wife host? You know the dinners I'm talking about? The diverse dinners.
Yeah.
Tell,
So that
tell
was
me the correct name of it and tell me what it is and the purpose of these dinners that you have hosted at your house.
absolutely. So those are called the transformation tables, and it's actually the brainchild of Tina Singleton. She brought it to our attention a couple of years ago, and she needed a place to host a dinner one month, and we volunteered. And essentially, what it is it's an opportunity to connect around some really, really great food by some awesome chefs. They come in your home, they take over your kitchen, and the only caveat for the evening is that you are opening yourselves up to strangers to come dine at your table. So the very first year that we did it, we had a Vietnamese chef. I forgot her name. I'm sorry, but the food was amazing. We had a Vietnamese chef come in and take over our kitchen, and our only job was to open the door when the doorbell rang. And they were 9 to 10 other guests that came that we did not know, and we opened our home and we just had conversation. We were able to connect over really great food. Some of those individuals that I met that night, we're still really, really great friends to this day. But that was her goal. That was Tina Singleton's goal, is just to connect over food, to heal, broken relationships, and to mend fences, and get to know people of different backgrounds, and do it over food. Because here, especially in Charleston, food is like food is the bridge, right? If
It
you
is.
have good food, you can heal and have almost any conversation that you want in the world over some really, really good food. So that was her brainchild, and we were just fortunate enough to be able to have a space where individuals can come and feel welcome, and we're really thankful for that. And we enjoyed it so much. We've done it a couple times. we've hosted a couple times just because we enjoyed the process so much, and we enjoyed meeting these new people, learning about different walks of life. I mean, because literally, when I say it's strangers, like, she doesn't tell you who's coming. It's just, you just open the door and it's like, oh, you're here for dinner. Come on in. So it was a great experience, though.
So is this only in the Charleston area, or is this a regional or national program, or is this what Tina Singleton, what she came up with and designed and implemented?
The thing that we were doing was something that was designed and implemented by Tina Singleton, and she has a TED Talk out there that explains how she got started, and what prompted her to do this. It was after the Emmanuel 9 shooting, where this was like her way of trying to heal some of the divisions, and she did it over food. So definitely her brainchild. I don't know if it's regional. I believe it's gone, global in the Charleston area. I can't think of anybody who hasn't been to one or hasn't hosted one. So I think she's doing a great job promoting it, and hopefully it still continues. But I haven't talked to her in a little while, so I don't know where she's at in the programming now. But it was a really great thing back then.
I can certainly relate to that, breaking bread together and having conversation. And when you mentioned the Emmanuel 9 massacre and what the aftermath of that, I think all too often we forget about the continuing trauma from that event, but also that there are people out here who are quietly doing the work to heal.
Absolutely.
And open those doors. After Emmanuel 9, I actually started a group, the South Carolina Courage Campaign in Charleston. because it connected to some folks who were in Columbia and Greenville. They were questioning, what do we do after this event to continuing on the message. So every third Thursday, I was getting together at the seafood restaurant on Rutledge Avenue in Charleston at 12 noon, and it was open anyone. And I have met so many people who would just come through, and we would just eat lunch together and talk. And that was the whole purpose. Very diverse, all walks of life. I had one gentleman who flew in from Washington, D.C., because I created a Facebook page and Facebook group that's continuing to this day. And he flew in, just wanted to be a part of it. And I had people in and out. They would come one time, never to be seen again. And then I had good friends to this day that I made sitting at that table with folks, just talking about, we were, I think, a little bit more purposeful, and that we wanted to discuss race and racism.
Right.
What we could do to address that. But I should say more direct with it, not more purposeful, but more direct with it. So I can certainly appreciate and understand when you talk about when we eat food together, it relaxes people. It allows people to be more transparent and open. So how do you think your participation in the transformation table has also informed what you do with writing the books? Has that had any impact?
I wouldn't say directly, but indirectly, I think it opened your eyes to see how other people view the world. And it's letting you know that how you think isn't always right. How you think isn't always wrong either. It's really just a difference in perspectives. And I think if you are going to do any type of growth work as an individual, you need those other perspectives. So there were conversations that were had around that table where I may not have necessarily agreed with what was being said, but because you're at a dinner table, you can't flip the table over because you disagree. So you have to find a way to get through that and articulate your disagreements while also being civil, because you're eating really great food and you're being hosted. So it's very hard to get rude and belligerent with the person that you disagree with while you're having a good glass of wine or, eating a good appetizer. So it's definitely, if anything, it was good practice in civil discourse.
That's a very good point. This Christmas Eve, I'm getting together with some neighbors, and yes, y'all, we're gonna practice social distancing. And I had a test done, and I'm negative, but and we see each other. It's just luckily in my neighborhood, we don't have a lot of traffic, and we walk together and stuff. So I don't think COVID is going to be an issue, but we'll do the mask and everything. But we're getting together Christmas night to just have a meal and just enjoy each other's company for a couple of hours. As adults, and just have conversation and drink some wine and some sparkling cider.
There you go.
It is good that we all need to. We don't converse with each other enough. And when I say conversation is equal parts talking and listening.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't do that often enough, having a conversation with someone where you just get together and you just talk. And you may not necessarily agree, but it does help you grow. It helps you to see another perspective. And that's growth. That's growth, especially when you can handle it and you lash out because, they don't agree with me. I got to make sure they agree with me. Well, that one, that increases your high blood pressure. Two, and we don't want that.
No, not at all.
It's not growth. What you want is to grow and see from different perspectives, learn from different cultures. I love that the transformation table, Vietnamese, was your first meal. One of my favorite Vietnamese restaurants is in Charleston, on Spring Street. Love their salads. Just, very simple meal, but love it. And so I think the transformation table, I'm glad that Tina Singleton has that program that she started, and hopefully it is continuing also. And in the future, maybe we might have some transformation table. I don't know, or
Right.
some version of it.
We
Yeah,
have
some
to figure
version.
it out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I think during this holiday season, that's what a lot of people miss. That human connection.
True.
And that's why we hear people they want to go home. But I think right now we do need to stay apart. And I saw a meme on Facebook that said, if I can remember correctly, we stay apart now, so when we are together again, no one is missing.
True.
And
Wow.
and I think that's really the attitude I encourage people to take. You know,
Yeah.
we really do need to be unselfish in what we're doing now. Before we got onto this show, Samuel, let me just remind everybody you're watching A Gathering Place hosted by the Gallagher Chamber of Commerce. And thank you, Samuel Bellamy, for coming on with us and just sharing your perspective. Um,
Absolutely.
so let's broaden this conversation a little bit, because prior to signing on, we were talking about the options that face us, and we all have options in life. And we were talking about wealth and richness, etc., and how both of us, how I feel I'm wealthy. And when I say wealthy, not in dollars, but I've been blessed that during the time of COVID, I've never stopped working. I
Right.
continue to work, and I have shelter, I have food, I have clothing, I have my basic necessities. But I'm wealthy in that I recognize that I have options.
Mm-hmm.
And what do I mean by options? I have the option to decide where I work, and how I work, and when I work. And I created that option because I stepped out on faith. I left the previous job. I went through personal therapy and took a business class to get my head right for my journey.
Right.
And I'm not healed. I don't think you're ever healed, because life is a continuous journey. But
Yes, it is.
I'm very comfortable with the journey I am on. I know when I say comfortable, I know I'm on the right journey. I'm on my journey
Right.
because I decided to work my options. But I had those options because I got a certain education.
Right.
I made some certain decisions to become a stronger person,
Mm-hmm.
and that gave me more options. And
Right.
unfortunately, too many of us, whether it's for systemic reasons or bad decisions, we don't have options. So Samuel and I were talking about prior, before we signed on the show, about options and how do we help our community understand that we work to give ourselves more options, so that we're not stuck in a situation where the most obvious example is working for someone who can determine whether we work today or not,
Right.
whether they're going to allow us to work or fire us. Those limit our options. What can we do to help our community discover their options? And do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah. So the first thing is realizing that options exist. Right. I think a lot of us sometimes when life happens to you, and I like to use that term because life happens to us all, whether you're rich or poor, whether you're in good health or bad health, life happens. So life happens to us all, and it's really about how we decide to prepare for what happens, and then how we navigate what eventually happens. So, like you mentioned, education. I think one of the things that we always preach to the young people that we work with is, college may not be your thing today, but the goal is to give yourself options. So if you decide not to pursue college, it's okay. But if you decide that you want to pursue at a later time, you've done the necessary work in school to give yourself the option to pursue if you decide to. If you decide not to, start working with your hands now, start getting introduced to different careers, doing all the things that you can just to give yourself options so that when it's time to make a decision, whether life makes a decision for you because life happens, or whether a family circumstances makes a decision for you, or just in general, whether you just are ready to make a decision for something different. You want to have as many options as possible. And what I realize is that a lot of what happens to us in life is about how many options that we create for ourselves, whether it's, getting that good education, whether it's exercising, taking care of your body so that when you get advanced years, you still have mobility, you still have the quality of life that you desire. All of those things start with choices. And the choices that you make today are going to determine the options that you have available to you tomorrow. So I definitely think it's important to realize that you get to decide to an extent, right? Because again, life happens. So there are some things that are just out of your control. But for as much as you can control, for as many decisions that you can make that can help alter the course of your life, realize that you have the power to do so, and that you're not just, some person that's at the whim of the wind. And I think it starts there. And then, like I said earlier, just figuring out what success looks like for you, designing the life that you want, because college may have worked out great for me. It may not work out for somebody else, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that I'm more successful or you're more successful. It just means we chose something different based off of what we wanted. And that's ultimately what we want to get people to see as well, is that this life that we live is going to be what you want to make it. And the operative word is you. So if you don't want your life to look this way, you have to do something to make changes, or you have to make different decisions, whatever it is for you. There is no right and wrong way to do life. But you have to realize that the power to direct which way it goes is in your hands. So I think that's the first thing. And I think as long as you can get that, everything else will be fine. Whether you're poor, whether you're rich, whether you have everything that you want or whether you don't, and you just have, what you need, it's all up to you to an extent, because, the government's out here doing some weird things, and they gotta,
Yeah,
they
I was gonna add.
kind of say some things.
I think what you just said is very appropriate and very profound. But I wanted to add to it, and what you just said is true. Is that I want to assure people that this does not negate the fact that there are some systemic things out there, systemic racism, systemic classism, the caste system. Because I just finished reading Caste by Isabel Wilkerson, which that I got to read it again because it was a mental struggle for me to get through. I had to put it down by every 2 pages because it just it's just a book. I don't want to say it was a deep book.
Right.
It was, but I think when people say, "Oh, that's deep," it's a little bit overused. But man, that's a book everybody should read just to be informed. But I think when we say options, it's how do you handle systemic racism? Because we all run into it every day. We run into those biases that impact us. Options is about how do you react to that, and how do you keep that and move forward in your personal journey. My options were in going to systemic racism and sexism is that I got tired of it. I really did. I got tired of it, and I had to realize that I was better working for myself. And I never looked back. But I didn't just willy-nilly leave my job in a huff and, burn my bridges. I prepared myself. But the options that allowed me, my parents made decisions that gave me options.
That gave you options, yeah.
My education, etc. And once I got that education, then I had personal options that I created for myself by doing my education, doing certain things, my experiences, making certain decisions. And if I didn't have that foundation created by my parents that gave me those options, I would not be making decisions right now that I make. And that speaks to healthcare, that speaks to education. And I'll give you the healthcare example. My dad was a 28-year military veteran. So Most of my childhood, I was a military brat until he retired. And yeah, most of my life, most of my childhood. Um,
Mhm.
but the healthcare option was I had access to the best healthcare system ever as a military
True.
brat. I didn't miss doctor appointments. I didn't miss vaccinations. We played
Mhm.
sports. They had organized sports. That goes towards healthcare. That gives me options to this day. It impacts the quality of my health to this day.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Unfortunately, we talked about this, Samuel. We have elected officials who their options or choices are based on um, giving to people who already have a lot, you
Right.
know, unfortunately. And most of us don't have access to health care. So they're actually taking an option away from folks. So when we
Mm.
talk about options, we are not talking about ignoring systemic racism, ignoring
Absolutely.
systemic sexism, ignoring the fact that our government is really problematic right now. An
Mhm.
option is what are you doing to impact that situation in a positive manner? That's an
Yeah.
option. That's the option.
Absolutely.
Education. What are you doing to impact education and how it is delivered in your community? The quality of the education. That's an option. You can decide to either be part of the problem or you can decide to be a solution for the problem. That's an option. Those are the decisions that
Absolutely.
all of us have to make on a very micro level and on a macro level. And that's what we're talking about. So that's, to me, it's important to have someone like a Samuel Bellamy who in his space is just kind of a humble, relatable person who just said, I'm going to put some stuff out there that I like. I like to hear. It motivates me and other people connect to. And you see how I circle back around?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, you brought up a great point with
Go ahead.
how we choose to navigate our options, right? If you're an individual who is maybe working a job that's not providing a livable wage, so you have a couple of options, right? One option could be to work more than one job. That could be an option. But another option could be to look at your city councilman or your representative in your area and lobby to them, express to them your needs. That's an
Mm-hmm,
option. Being involved civically is an option.
mm-hmm,
And a lot of the things that you mentioned, some of those things, well, a lot of those things are pretty much out of your control to an extent. You have to realize, again, your own power and your ability to advocate for yourself. It's one thing if one person advocates for themselves, it's another if you have a whole county of people advocating for themselves. And it's another thing altogether to have a whole city advocating for, that livable wage or that affordable housing or the better healthcare. Those are all options that you can give yourself. You just have to realize that you have the power to do so. Like it's not things happen, but they don't have to just happen. Laws get passed all the time, but laws also get fought all the time. Bills get rewritten all the time.
mm-hmm,
So just because something passes and it's, this is how it is, doesn't mean that that's how it has to stay. That's an option that you have. And as a citizen, you have the ability to do that. These people that are elected, they technically work for us. The problem is, we have lost sight of our ability to exercise our option to disagree. This doesn't work for me. You were elected to represent me and my interests. Right now, my interests aren't being met. We need to have a conversation. And if you don't want to have a conversation with me, I brought 50 other people with me. Oh, you don't want to talk to us? Here's 100. Here's 1,000. Like we got to keep being persistent about getting what we want, especially if we have the ability and the desire, really to make that change. Because one thing about government that I learned just in dealing in these spaces is that the government moves slow for a reason. It's on purpose that they move that slow because they want you to lose interest. They want things to happen that are going to get you to change your mind about coming to Columbia every week. They want to keep you entangled in other things so that you don't have time to email them every day about an issue. So it's purposely designed to move that slow. Now, on one end, it could be because they're trying to be more thoughtful and deliberate about the decisions that they make. But from what we've seen and what history have shown, that's not the case. They really just want you to stop calling. They want you to lose interest. They want you to change your mind so that they can continue to do what they want to do. That's in their best interest. So, it behooves us all to find a thing that we're really, really interested in, something that's really, really affecting us all, and stay committed, stay consistent to that fight, and exercising those options, using your voice. So it's really important.
It is. It's very important, and it's good. I'm glad you made the point of the communities, the city, the country, because it is important recognizing that once you're on your journey and you're in that groove, you will be amazed at how many people on their journey you will start connecting to.
Absolutely.
And they say there's like that attracts like, and if you're on a positive journey and you're moving forward on that journey, you're going to connect with people who are on their journey and moving forward on that journey. And sometimes those journeys you just touch briefly, and the others you touch for quite a while. That's how you build movements. And I think people get frustrated because they don't see change, or exactly what you just said. There are people in government. It is in their interest to draw things out, hoping that you lose interest and go away. But imagine if you create a movement, and you can create a movement. One person. It takes one person beginning their healthy journey.
That's it.
One person can change the world. They really can. Because what ends up happening, you start connecting to all these other people, and it becomes a movement. And they can't run away from movements. So if you're making less than a living wage and you want a living wage, then call your county council member or your state elected official and let them know, because there's actually a movement out there that 10 years ago, no one would have thought. Now you have President-elect Biden talking about raising the minimum wage to $15. That was not overnight. That was being talked about 10, 12 years ago. But it took one person to say, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, in the words of the great Fannie Lou Hamer, And that's every day, folks. You have that option every day to do that. And then you have folks like Samuel Bellamy out here writing great books, Just Me, Myself, and I.
A little fuel for the journey, right? A little fuel for the journey.
That's a little fuel for the journey. It says, you're on the right track when you have no interest in looking back. And that is so true. That is so true. Not only on a community advocate level, but on a professional level, but on a personal level too.
Absolutely.
When you're in the groove, I tell people I've been getting recognized lately for stuff that I've been working on a couple of years, and I really am appreciative of that.
Congratulations on all of that.
But let me tell you, what, Sam, as long as I enjoy it, that's what gets me going. I'm like, as long as I'm enjoying what I'm doing, it's not perfect. Y'all, some people on the outside looking in thinking, wow, but no, I make bad decisions. Some days it's hard for me to get up. It is, arthritis is catching up with me.
These cold mornings, right? It's getting a little harder.
but I enjoy it. I can laugh at myself, get the joke, and but it's just keep moving.
Yeah.
Just keep moving. There's a beautiful video with Dr. Martin Luther King on it, and he basically talks about that. Just keep moving. If you can't crawl, if you can't walk, crawl. If you can't run, walk. But keep moving. And that's what it really comes down to. Sam, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Do you have any other last words for us? This has been really good.
Yeah, just echoing your last statement, the idea of keeping moving. And if you have to crawl, do that. There's that saying out there that, if you're broke down on the side of the road and you're just sitting in your car, people are going to walk past you. People are going to drive past you because they think you already have the situation handled. But the moment you get out and start pushing your car, you'll never be amazed at how many people stop to help you push your car.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole idea that, there are hard things out there that we have to change, we can't sit on the sideline and say, oh, well, I'm only one person. You never realize how many times when you get out there or you voice your opinion about a thing, how many other people are like, man, I was thinking the same thing. I was just waiting on somebody else to say it, so I wasn't alone. So just realize that there are people out there that really feel the same way that you feel and that desire the same things that you desire. And all you have to do is get out and do the work. And those other people will join forces with you. They'll come alongside you. And before you know it, you got a movement. And then you just have to be consistent with it.
That's right. That's right. Consistency. You are so true about that. Samuel, I think this was a wonderful way to end 2024, a gathering place. Very emotional, great thoughts. You're right. We just need to step out, be consistent, and wonderful things will happen. And y'all just know that Marilyn and Samuel, we're out here cheering you on. Let us know. We certainly love to hear from you. What are you doing on your personal journey? We want to know, and know that we support you also, whatever that journey is. I want to remind everybody that Sam has 2 books, Just Me, Myself, and I. We want you to order them, support him, and Hidden Gems, a great illustrated family book there. And I just love that you feature your family. That's so cool. So if I want to order the books, how do I order the books? Where do we go? Do you have a website, Facebook page?
Yeah. So you can do it one of 2 ways. You can go to Amazon.com and you can order them from Amazon, or you can go to SamuelBellamyJr.com and you can order both of those books at the website directly.
Yep. Okay, SamuelBellamyJr.com.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm gonna put that up. There you go. You can go to his website, SamuelBellamyJr.com, and order Hidden Gems or Just Me, Myself, and I. I keep saying that because that's a cool title. I just love that title.
Thank you.
And I have been admiring your background this entire show because you look like you were on an HGTV show. I'm serious. I'm like, that's like really cool. Did you like recently redo the house?
No, let me tell you. So I am upstairs in our like bonus room area that I share with the kids. This background is actually one of those science boards, the little tri-board. Yes, it's a tri-board, but it's been wallpapered. So it's up on the wall. Let me see if I can. I don't know. So you can see it's just like a little. Yeah. So it's it looks good. Yeah.
I'm like admiring. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love his like walls.
That's it. You gotta use what you got. Use what you have until you can do better. So
well, you're doing good.
Until I can afford those shiplap walls, this is what I'm using.
I love it. Shiplap walls. All right, y'all got it going on. Tell your lovely wife happy anniversary. I know y'all celebrate your anniversary too. Go and tell the kids we said hello and thank you for coming home. We really appreciate it and showing us your interior decorating also because y'all got it going on.
DIY backdrops. Thank you so much. Right. It was an honor to be on here and share this space with you.
We'll have to bring you back when you write your next book and everything. But in the meantime, y'all go to his website, SamuelBellamyJr.com, and order those books. Let's support our Black authors and let's support Samuel Bellamy Jr. because these really are some good books and very motivational. And, just follow him because he does post those things out there and they're just really good. Some feel good stuff that we really need. Yeah.
Absolutely. Reach out.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it. And Merry Christmas.
Same to you, and
All
have a
right.
happy new year.
Thank
2021
you.
will be a great year, guys.
It will. It will be. It will be. All right. Have a good one.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everyone. We want to thank SamuelBellamyJr.com. Please go to that website and support him and purchase his books, Hidden Gems, and Just Meme Myself and I. And Leisha Matt, thank you for joining us and letting us know that you enjoyed the conversation. Really appreciated that. And everyone, this coming Sunday will be either a repeat show or some music because that's how we're going to end the year. This was our final live show, but we were so happy that you decided to join us today. And just, Leisha Matt, thank you very much. And thank you for joining and supporting Sam Bellamy. All right. And please go to his website. We really appreciate that. And just thank you, everyone, for joining us this year on A Gathering Place. We didn't know that we would do this year in this format. A Gathering Place originally was planned to be a podcast, and it actually will be a podcast. But during the time of COVID, we felt that we wanted to get on quickly so we could help educate our community about what was going on with COVID. And we did. I want to thank Dr. Thaddeus John Bell. We made a donation to his nonprofit this year, Closing the Gap in Healthcare, and all of the guests that joined us on A Gathering Place this year, a gathering of change makers in our community. It really was a good year. We learned a lot, we grew a lot, we made mistakes, but we did lots of good stuff too. And we're looking forward to 2021. We are still under COVID. We still must wear our masks, use your hand sanitizers, wash your hands, practice social distancing. And let's remember that we must stay apart this year so that the next time we are together, no one is missing. We've been through some stuff this year. I lost my father. I'm not from COVID, but from lung cancer. And he will truly be missed by his family and his community, and lost a cousin to COVID. And I know so many of my friends and colleagues who have lost family members because of COVID. But I know that we are a resilient people. We understand our connection to the land and the water, and we appreciate it. And I know that in 2021, we're going to just be so much bigger and better and do great things. But you have options in front of you, folks. Get prepared. Uh, do what you need to do to be prepared for the changes that are going to come, because diamonds are not created in a cloud of softness. They're created through friction. And that's what we're going through right now. We're going to come out as diamonds, but we're going to be going through some friction. And through that, I encourage you to find the joy, find the happiness in those moments when you think it's at its darkest. It's always the darkest before the dawn. I've heard that somewhere. All right. So thank you again, folks, for joining us on A Gathering Place in 2020. We look forward to 2021 every Wednesday at 4 and every Sunday at 4. And we'll start it again after January 1st, 2021. Thank you and look forward to you. And everyone, have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, Season's greetings, and love from Marilyn Hemingway and the Gullah Geechee Chamber of Commerce. Good night.